Courage the Cowardly Dog. This cartoon was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and only recently revisiting it for making videos, I just realized how dark and twisted the story truly is. While watching one of the episodes, I almost cried. Not only because the story was sad, but because it has roots in the real life. In a way, this episode showed the harsh reality of dog breeding. This episode was sad, even though they tried to twist it and make it seem like a fantasy. Let's move on, folks, and switch to the storytelling mode. Muriel is busy cooking some delicious dumplings, with Courage waiting impatiently. After indulging in the abundant amount of food, enjoying a lavish life being loved by Muriel, Courage notices missing dog ads on the milk carton box. Saddened by witnessing such horrible fate, Courage remembers a sad memory of his. He remembers how as a puppy, he used to have parents of his own, whom got captured by an evil scientist like Vit, who mercilessly takes them in a building called the Pits of Tomorrow. Courage, traumatized by remembering this horrible memory, sits still, frozen in his place, not reacting to Eustace's taunts and insults. Muriel finds Courage sitting frozen in the same place next day, deep in his thought, when she realizes something major is wrong with him. Eustace pulls his usual prank, trying to scare Courage, when he witnesses that he doesn't react to that either, making them plan to take him to the vet. That's when Courage reminisces on the rest of the same memory. He witnesses his parents being taken deeper into the building, seeing different animals being experimented on with multiple cages around, seemingly for breeding purposes. Courage is then taken to the same vet with the evil scientist-looking veterinarian, who mentions that he knows exactly what to do with a dog, as if he experimented on dogs before and gained a wealth of knowledge with them. Courage in fear runs away, with the scientist running after him, with the ever-supportive Muriel also going after Courage to comfort him so he can get the treatment he needs. While running, his memories continue, where the cages are filled with unhappy and desperate dogs, with Courage managing to follow the scientist, witnessing his parents being forcefully stuffed inside the chamber-like construction. The construction seems to be a rocket heading for space when suddenly, in the current time, Courage gets taken in a similar fashion by the evil scientist and put in the same rocket. Muriel and Eustace come to the scene and witness the horrible experiment the scientist is conducting. The scientist, in fear of his secret experiment getting public attention, detains both Muriel and Eustace and mentions that they will be the first humans subjected to his psychotic experiment. He experiments on dogs, breeding them in space, hence why the building is called Pits of Tomorrow, as they will be new and improved breeds. Courage then remembers the rest of his memory, how he narrowly escaped the scientist, jumping through a dumpster chute, watching his parents flown into space, leaving a sad crying puppy alone. Courage manages to get out of the rocket and save both Muriel and Eustace, trapping the evil scientist in the rocket, being shot into space. The rest of the memory is a bittersweet ending when a sympathetic, kind, young Muriel sees a sad, lonely puppy on his own, when she embraces him and names him Courage, for the courage he showed being alone, welcoming him to her family and house. Clearly, the idea of sending unattended dogs into space for a futuristic type of breeding is over-exaggerated and not a feasible, logical thing to do now. Dogs have been used in space technological advancements and sent to space before for other purposes, however. Some were successfully recovered and some were less fortunate. The message of this episode, appropriately named Remembrance of Courage Past, entails a much darker fact. Or two facts to be more precise. The evil veterinarian, dressed in stereotypical scientist attire, reveals his grand plan of kidnapping dogs. He mentions that his secret experiment is to breed dogs in space, with the name of his building being a clear giveaway. Although breeding dogs in space is not yet possible and not logical really, on the other hand, dog breeding is a common and profitable practice that happens almost everywhere in the world, with different countries having different legislations and restrictions about it. Nonetheless, it's something that has been happening for a long time, something that apparently became popular in the 19th century. with more than 400 different breeds recognized by kennel clubs around the world. There are also variety of dogs within the same breed, such as having more curved and flattened muzzles, bigger eyes, shorter limbs, and so on. The only problem with selective breeding, however, is that majority of the time, dogs suffer severe consequences such as genetic illnesses and problems to have some sort of a specific trait. For example, a common term used to classify certain dogs is purebred or pedigree, where kennel clubs set standards of what a dog should look like to win, which causes the owners to inbreed dogs, ensuring they will have certain features to win in the dog championships, yet suffering severe genetic problems such as heart conditions or brain issues such as syringomyelia. I won't get too much into the conditions and why shorter muzzles, bigger eyes, and shorter limbs are problematic, which are some of the most popular and wanted traits found in smaller dogs such as pugs and shih tzus. The evil scientist portrays how selective breeding has gone to the extent of experimenting with them in such bizarre ways to achieve certain traits, profoundly shown in the dog with a muscular physique and green-colored dogs. Another message lying beneath this episode could potentially point out towards how older dogs are not useful anymore after breeding and are subsequently sent to the sky. The following discussion will be a little sensitive, so I must point out your discretion is advised. You can skip to the time indicated on the screen, which I will edit in later in order to avoid this particular part. Street dogs and other dogs that were in shelters for long periods of time traditionally were placed in gas chambers to be euthanized, which after some research I learned how painful it must be, which I won't show in this video. There are still states in the USA that haven't banned the use of gas chambers, and there are many countries that still use this method. The metallic door that closed on Courage's parents and trapped them in shares resemblance to the horrors of what a gas chamber looks like. To Courage, a puppy with a great imagination, often imagining things and over-exaggerating situations, he interpreted his parents' passing as being sent to outer space to a different planet. The ending of the show, with the scientist trapped and Courage's parents in the same age alongside other dogs on an alien planet, with no protective suits or food at sight, is a clear washed-down version of what actually happened. A less grim fate that Courage wants to believe his parents experienced. The other dogs in the cages in the Pits of Tomorrow building indicated that this evil scientist carried out his so-called secret experiment on a regular basis, displaying how cruel he was. Courage the Cowardly Dog is full of dark and tragic episodes with many adult-themed hidden messages, which I never picked up on as a child. Rewatching this show now, it's a different way, and I'll probably focus on more episodes in the future videos, which I really want to dive deeper into and analyze. For more videos like this, you can stay tuned by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and I will see you next time.